There's ropes, there's towers, there's this, that, you know, boards.
Environment they all, I guess, just
Can't.
take nothing but this. This.
Water is crystal. Can't catch frogfish in clear water. Are you kidding me? Pads dying down. This was a while back. This is cloud of 4. We were talking about that earlier. This is what it looks like when 7-pounders eat a frog in cloud of 4. Okay? You got the goo. Come here. Yeah. Uh-huh. Pads, we love that.
You did not wait.
I don't wait. I don't wait. We do not wait. We do not wait. Primrose. This is American pondweed. Offshore vegetation. Violence. Violence. Big fish. Quality fish. American pondweed. Red leaf. That right there, I use that. That is what a rod that's too stout. That's what happens. Yeah, there's no, we're not going to wait, count to 3, no. No. I will tell you, this is what it looks like. How do I, you know, we're going to get into all the walking the frog and all that kind of stuff. This is November. This was after Thanksgiving. Okay? Then we had everybody thinks that it's got to be 106 outside, 100% humidity to catch frogfish. 52 to 58. If you're not throwing your frog in that window, you are so missing the boat. Especially when you're fishing your docks on Hartwell or whatever it is. Murray, I don't care. You got lots of docks, lots of recreation docks here, lots of beautiful homes. Number 1, who's the richest joker in this cove? That guy. Okay, cool. So that guy probably ain't going to be showing up till about May 1st. Because those guys, he's probably got a place in Florida too, right? So, all right, cool. I'm going to talk about. I want the dude with the most cash in this pocket, and I want the poorest dude in this. I want those two guys. See that old pontoon boat over there? Man, that's a raggedy mess. Perfect. That one over there that's pristine, that's got all the speakers and all that kind of. I don't want nothing to do with that dog. I don't want nothing to do with that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. They use them too much. Give me the most unused. I want to go. What I would do on the Delta. Or a lot of the, if I got a dock situation, again, we're talking about frogs. Talking docks here, get off track, but it's good stuff, it's important. I go look for the boats that have got the most vegetation growing off the bottoms of. Like you said, go look for rocks. I go look for boats that got either their outboards trimmed up like that, because that means that joker ain't going to be here for a while. If he's got that old outboard kicked out of the water, that dude's cool. If I was a thief, I'd have to put that one on my list too. So if there's any thieves here, I'm not going to charge you for that. But I want to find the old raggedy house, trolling motor, the one that the kids just leave the rods laying all over the place. That's summertime stuff. That's good weather stuff. That's all. A lot of that stuff, if you get close to it, you can see that just witch's hair hanging down. Look, a lot of these boats look like they got the bottoms of them boats are spit shine. I want nothing to do with them docks. Unless they got some nice pea gravel on the backside of that thing. And those fish are going to spawn. Yeah, we'll get into location a little bit later on that too. But so those are the types of situations, areas that I'm looking for when I'm throwing that frog. Now, and we were talking about it, getting the bait where it needs to be. How many of you do not know how to pitch? And I'm not talking about a baseball. I'm talking about pitching. Do we all know how to pitch? Okay, that's fine. There's other people here that don't want to raise their hand that don't know how to pitch. So that's fine. So we're just going to go just a quick little crash course on this thing. Again, 7'2" to 7'9" rod. Not a big old broomstick. We don't want that. Okay? Even a spinnerbait type rod would be a good frog rod. Okay? You don't have to go break the bank, go out and buy a bunch of new frog rods and all that kind of stuff. You just use what you got for now until you figure out, I need to pump it up a little bit or I need to back it off a little bit. Just take something that you got right now, catch a couple of fish with it, maybe one comes off, maybe they all stay on. I got the right rod. Cool. So, whenever I pitch, I always keep that bait right about where the reel is. Okay? I don't want it down here. And I don't want it up here. So I want it, this is a perfect little happy medium right here. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to load this rod up. A lot of people think that they need to load this rod up. We're not going to bow and arrow. We're not going to go, because this is going to be a disaster right here. So we're not going to do that. So we're just going to hold this, I'm going to hold this frog right here in my hand. I'm putting no pressure on, and I'm just going to, with an upward lift, I'm just going to pull that frog out of my hand. The reason we pitch is because we got overhanging trees. We want to get underneath something. We want to be extremely accurate, and we want to be as stealthy as possible. So we're going to be stealthy with our trolling motor, off and on, let the wind move us around. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And how I present that bait. It doesn't have to be one of those where there's, oh man, there's no splat. No, that's an exaggeration. That does help, but just, and we're right here again and again, and we got our toes pointed in the direction that we're fishing in. Just a nice upward lift. And I'm using this as my brake and my speed control. So important to work that thumb, right? To be one with your thumb. That's the whole, you can pitch with a lot of velocity and stop, go past your target, above your target, helicopter in. Stop. So that's just a great way to present a bait. So a circle S is that guy right there. Now this, I highly suggest that you folks learn how to do that. Because to get that bait, you can keep it low. You can keep it, and if you've got duckweed, if you've got just a regular dock with the little slots, you can skip it up under. If you hit it with enough juice, especially if you're dealing with the duckweed situation, or open water bushes like this, we've all got that someplace. You all are looking at that right there. Oh, I know where there's some of that. It's getting the frog further in there than everybody. Everybody else, most guys are going to come through that with a chatterbait on the outside edge. They're going to come through it. They're going to maybe flip to the bases of those things and move along, move along, move. What about this back here? What do I have in my tackle box that I can fish for fish with back there? And how do I get it back there? So that is so key and so big. Do we have a video for that? Did we do that video 2? Do we have guys fall asleep? I'm sorry. Oh, that's the cameraman. He does it. Okay, so here we go. So back that up for a second. I'm sorry. So this is what think again. We're thinking about these fish living here. Look at this bank. Oh my God. I know because the last few weeks that I've been coming down through here, I've been catching some fish along these banks. That's why I'm here. That's why I think some of these fish are in the process of making their beds back there. When they get very aggressive, they come to the outside edge, and you can go through there with the chatterbait. You go first thing in the morning, maybe. You come down the outside edge of these trees. You get as aggressive as you can. If I'm around trees, I'd rather throw a spinner. A chatterbait, you bump into a piece of wood with a chatterbait. What's it doing? Stuck. Oh, man. I gotta get it. Right? Chatterbait hits a piece of wood, it turns, and it just gets stuck. Greatest bait ever. Second greatest bait ever. But man, it just don't work good around wood. Spinnerbait comes through wood way better. So maybe we do a spinnerbait aggressive, chatterbait on the outside edge first thing in the morning. When that's we catch 2, 3, maybe 4. As the sun comes up, as the day starts to progress, a lot of these fish are going to tough back. They're either going to go that way or they're going to go that way. That's the shallow side, that's the deep side. But this time of the year, they're not going way out there. They're going to stay right in here. We know where they're at. There's the bank. That's where the lake stops, right there. But there's some trees. I like doing this. So this is what we're going to do. Okay. We want to think low. We want to. Here, that's a circle S. Now you can throw that sidearm in there too. Shoot it in there. Shoot that joker in there. Everybody in the lake ain't throwing their frog up in here. And this is what happens when you get it up inside. Get that, and what? Are we fishing that frog a long ways? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It looks to me like they're eating that frog within about a foot of where it lands. I think that's cool. Put that frog where it needs to be. Put that frog where they live. Put that frog where they live. And this is another question I get a lot. So, he missed my frog. He missed my frog. The fish missed the frog. I didn't miss the fish. We never miss the fish as bass fishing. The fish missed the bait. Right? So you're getting the verbiage right here. The frog missed my bait. He didn't get it. I saw him. He tried to eat it. So how do I catch? What are my options? There's a couple of different. If you're in open water, we can throw. I've always got. If I'm fishing docks, if you're fishing your docks, Hartwell, whatever it is, always have a Senko, a weightless worm of some sort. Right? You've always got that laying there. In docks, I want it to be a weightless Senko. Unless it's a pre-spawn type of a thing where you may have some of these pilings that are in that 6 to 8 and they're suspended on it because a post-frontal situation. You had a post-front come through, all the fish on the back came out, 9 foot deep on the outside, 22 feet on the outside. They're suspended 6 feet underneath the outside pontoon boats out here. Whole different deal. Now I'm going to throw a shaky head, something that'll get down quick. I'm pitching that frog up in the slots. I mean, I'm talking about slot. I mean, my slots, they're big. The boat's right here. It's tied up. There's rope. Circle S, pitch, no problem. Got this? Before you started doing all this, guys would go by, man, I wish I could throw a frog. You can! And when they miss it, wind it in, you got some options here. Do I come back with a shaky head on an 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce? You need something that's a little bit of weight, doesn't fall, it's a tricky thing, right? A little bit of weight, don't want it to fall too fast. It's 12 feet deep, 9 feet deep, 6 feet deep, whatever it is. If it's less than 6, it's a sinker. If it's more than 6, it's probably a shaky head. Okay? As a follow-up in dock type situation or some sort of a roof type of a situation. So with this one right here, this fish, I know that these fish are spawning on this bank. So I just want you to give me your address. Show me. Move the water, swirl, make a twig move. You got to see this stuff with your peripheral. As you're going, this particular spot where I'm sitting here, I'm pitching to, as that is a willow tree. Dead giveaway. If it's 5 days before the full moon, February, March, April, May, you better hit that, if you've got a willow tree that's laying in the water that has got more than 9 inches of water on it, it gets a frog before it gets anything else. Because you can stay away. I can pitch to the back room with that frog, right? And I got a big rod, I got a big line, I got big hooks. And if she wants to eat it, awesome. If he eats it, but I'll take him too. If I throw the drop shot over there, there's a lot of distance here. A lot of things can go wrong. Because I probably got 8 or 12 pound test on that drop, right? But with this, in that situation, I'm throwing 65. Put your lips on it, baby. And I swing, I'm going to put you in the box, right? So, but when they give themselves up, in a short range, it's quick. You're fishing for the moment. And if this is a tournament, it's your last stop. I got 19 minutes left to fish, and this happens. For those of you that you want to take your game into that tournament, I don't know how many times this situation right here has happened where within the last 18, 19 minutes, that's the one I had to have. Boom, give me the boat. Just want a boat on that cast right there. Big check. Or, again, it's just your father-in-law in the back of the boat, or your grandson, or whatever, and they go, wow, that was cool. Everybody's going to remember that. They're going to talk about it in Thanksgiving dinner. Remember that time? That bass came up on that frog, and you dropped it, and you grabbed that other rod, and you threw it in there? That was cool. I learned. I didn't think you could do that. Let's show this thing here. This is what you can do. Be on the clock. Boom. Nice. I know they're spawning in there. That fish should have had that thing. Are you kidding? Now I got to come in nice and sweet. Boom. That next throw is not over the top of the log. It's not short. It's not off to the right by that much. It's got to be, like I say, it's got, not in the front yard, not in the backyard. You got the house. Don't throw it in the front yard. Don't throw it in the backyard. Throw it in the kitchen and throw it right in the fridge. And she'll open that fridge up and grab that jug. I don't know. I have no idea how many over 5 pounds I've caught on a frog. A lot. Big number. Okay, so you learn each time. My favorite frog rod is my one from iRod now. It's 7'9". It's not parabolic. We used to love the old parabolic rods. But it's got its drawback. A lot of times, if you go too parabolic, this absorbs a lot of the juice, and you get to a certain point, and the hooks just don't quite bury. It's got to shut off in here. It can't arc all the way to, anyway. So mine is it's like a hybrid type of rod, cross between a parabolic and a fast taper rod. If you get a rod that's too fast, like a candy cane, it's gonna, when you swing on the 2.5, on the 3-pounder, occasionally the 4-pounder, she eats it in the super shallow part of the water column and stays there, like we were talking earlier, you will cart fill. I do not want the fish to come out of the water when I swing on it. Don't come out of the water.
Stay down.
Oh,
Stay under the water.
bad deal, bad deal.
Yeah.
So, in order for that to happen, you've got to back off up here. This has got to have a little bit of flex. Okay. Back in the day, my old Falcon frog rod that I had, which was 7'10", it was built to pull 9-pounders out of the grass at Gunnersville. It was built to pull 8 to 11 pounders out of heavy vegetation, American pondweed, on the California Delta, on Clear Lake, at Okeechobee. The guys at Okeechobee started using that rod to punch with. McMillan, all those guys. They were using mine. What do you mean you're using it? Man, I was, at that point, I was still using the old Bass Pro Shot, nice parabolic. I got it, and I had a Loomis G2 that had a real nice arc pair, because punch rods are just too stout. Most of them across the board are just too stout. You need to back off on that also. So, and then I've also got the 7'2" version. A lot of guys with the frog, they like to use that 7 to 7'3". The reason they do is because that's the video they watch. That guy in the video told them they need a 7 to 7'3". That's what they bought. They caught some frogfish with it. They bought another one, and because they've never had a 7'9" frog rod in their hands. You catch 10 fish with a 7'9", you catch 10 fish with a 7'3", you go, give me that 7'9". I've got so much more control over that, let's be real, over that 3 to 6 pound bass, the one that really matters, the one that really counts. That 480 to 625 will eat your lunch with a 7'2", because you don't have the angle on them. With that 7'9", when you're here and you're candy caned up like this, or a modified candy cane right here, you've got so much leverage on that fish. You either catch or lose. Always got to look for a fan. You always catch or lose the frogfish. I can't even do it here. The roof's not high. I either got him or I don't, right now. I either got him or I don't. When that rod goes, whoop, like that, he's either mine or he's not. If I go here and it's still a straight, it goes here and it straightens up, the hooks never grab flesh. There's no way you can catch that fish. Post-spawn fish, a fish that's in a neutral mood. I get guys that go, dude, I need to put treble hooks on my... Why? Well, I got 15 frog bites the other day and I only caught 2. Was it May? Yeah, those are post-spawn fish. They're not eating. They got a little ball of fry over here, this little goofy thing's over here. But they pulled it down. I had 6 of them pull it down. I know, they pulled it down by the legs. They never had the hook in their mouth. And you want to put a bunch of hooks on this thing and put a treble hook and cut off this one and what? Stop it. They either get it or they don't. And when they get it and you swing and you go candy cane like this, if that candy cane comes off, it's because you did this. One of these things. You either went, whack, got him, and then you dropped. I'm here. I dropped because I'm excited because I think I'm fighting a marlin in Cabo San Lucas. I don't know. They go like this. Got him! And then they drop their rod. It relaxes. And if I'm off to the side and I'm filming this thing, I'm filming the bass in the water, I'm filming you from the side, and I got you right here, and it's all loaded up, and we're perfect, and woo, look at me. And I'm like this, and then I go to drop again to set the hook again. I watched this so many times when I was guiding. My guys that had the fish that the fish that they fished for since they were a kid, the fish that their grandfather that's now passed away would have been so proud to see them with, and they screwed it up because of the mechanics of this game. Whack, wind it down as that art. If you wind down, don't go whack and then drop. Whack, drop, pull cue. The line is now loose. I'm filming you. The rod's straight, line is loose, fish is shaking his head 1,000. Things loosen up and come out. If I go whack and I wind, I'm tight, fish swimming tight, can't come off. If the fish comes off, if you swing and you candy cane, and you're like, if that fish comes off, it's you. If the fish, of course, as bass fishermen, as soon as it comes off, we want to do this. Because we don't like doing this. We're not good at this. We're like politicians at this point. It says them and them and them and them. It's never me. So, the mechanics, again, I hammer it home. I have no idea how many hundreds of thousands of dollars I lost in tournament. I made a lot. I made a ton of money tournament fishing. I lost a ton of money tournament fishing. I lost a lot of very prestigious fish fishing with your buddy that's up on you 3 or 4 with a couple of fish, and you lose that 1 7-pounder that cements the deal. I don't care about your 3-pound. Look at this one. No, that's the one that one. Sometimes that one hurts even more than losing it a few grand because it's with your buddy. But that mechanical thing, you just can't. You cannot work on it enough. You have got to work on it. You got to stay with it.
Flip it in the bed, and you notice that the fish he's doing this number. He's trying to get his other eye. Got to get his eye on this side of the head. He's like, I can't see it. You know. So that's just the way they adapt to the environment they're on. I guess just hiding by something they want to. That's just the way they are. I can't do nothing about the way they're made, but it does tell me a lot about what I need to use, how I need to target the fish, what colors I need to use, what kind of structure I need to fish by. We can move to the next slide here, Michael. I was talking about what do they eat. A largemouth bass eats everything. If it's in his way, he's going to eat it. He's going to eat anything that's in his way. He's a predator fish. He sets behind stuff, he hides, he jumps out, boom. It don't matter what it is. Because you think about it. We're bad about this, especially as anglers. We'll hold up a bait, I don't know, this green thing right there. There's absolutely nothing in the water that looks like that. But I guarantee you catch a largemouth on it because he don't care. If it's in his way, he's going to at least push it out of his way. They don't care. They eat absolutely anything. Brim, crawfish, shad, ducks, birds, insects, snakes, frogs. Little kids. They eat everything. They eat everything. That's just, I don't know why. I don't know if they don't even really look at what they're eating. If you think about it, that makes a lot of sense because where they live, in places where it's dark water, places where it's hid, they probably they're not visual feeders. Notice that their lateral line is a lot more pronounced, it's a lot bigger. They probably don't ever see it. They just see motion, attack. Think about that it's a couple things. Now we know that they'll eat absolutely anything. You can start to watch where you're fishing at. any kind of activity. Watch the birds. You know, I've always talked about bridges. Bobby was showing you that frog, the black and yellow one that looks like that little canary-looking bird. Pay attention to those little things, especially in the spring when fish are moving up. Like the majority of fish are moving up and moving towards the bank, towards the shallow areas. Pay attention to just little subtle things. Pay attention to even what's hatching out, bug-wise, insect-wise, because then that attracts brim. Brim are going to be where they can eat insects. Even if the bass don't eat insects, the brim eat insects. If the brim is there, oh, boo-boo gonna be there. Okay? So just think about it. It's all locked together. All the frogs. When you start studying the life cycles of what the fish eats, you study the life cycle where the fish is gonna be. If you understand where the fish spawns, you understand where he lives, what he does, like you know, you got it. You got it. It's almost just like you. If I know where you live, what is the number one thing everybody wants to protect? Yeah. My address. Maybe now it's maybe like your phone or something. But you don't want to give just anybody your address. Because if I find your address, I can find out a lot about you. If I know where you spawn as a fish, I know a lot about that species of fish. And this goes across, if y'all want to get into some other type of fishing, whether that's saltwater fishing, whether that's crappie fishing, whether that's catching bait fish, if you know where they spawn, you got 80% of them locked in, okay? They like to spawn. Largemouth like to spawn. It seems very elementary, but let's just talk. Just stick with me for a little bit. They like to spawn where it's flat. Flat. They love to spawn where it's flat. Flat pockets. Main lake flats. Flat. Think shallow. Flat. When you saw that stuff Bobby was fishing, one of the guys asked me, he was like, "Man, I'd like to frog fish in a float tube, just on lunch break." I was like, "Man, you probably had to weigh that stuff you saw Bobby fishing. It's that shallow." They like to get that shallow. Never underestimate how shallow a largemouth bass can get. The further north you get, the shallower them suckers will go. They go so shallow. I don't even know if his back. We always say if his fins can be covered, that he will. It's enough to hold a bass. I'm not so sure that it's even got to be that deep. They will kill themselves trying to get something in shallow water. It does not have to be very deep at all. So now, with that being said, they spawn, in my experience, especially with largemouth, they love to spawn beside something. Lily pads, lily pad stems. Everybody knows what a lily pad stem is. If you're from my area, you might not know what that is. Lily pads are like a perennial. Summertime, they blow out, they bloom or flower, have a flower on top, have a big pad. Wintertime, they die off. And all that's left during the winter is a little bitty stem. And oh boy, when you found them little brown stems sticking out, I think Bobby had a picture of him catching a frog in the lily pad stems. Those lily pad stems are awesome to fish. They spawn by them. Because, remember what I said, even though it's a little stem, the little lily pad stems, they'll be about that big, about like that antenna over that camera. That's all it is. It'll be a field though. I love to spawn by those things. Eyes covered, he thinks it's his, so that's covered. Other thing, why do you think they always spawn around something, around a lily pad, a dog piling, a piece of grass, a stump? Number one reason that a largemouth bass does that. Why do you think they do that?
Protect their eggs.
Come on, my guy. He said protect their eggs. They're fried. They gotta have somewhere that when the babies hatch it, the brim and the crappie and all the other stuff that's swimming around the water won't eat their fry. They don't eat during that period. They just sit there on that bed. The only way they eat is if something comes by that bed. They are dedicated to that process of the spawn. They don't eat. They fast. Their sole purpose there for that week is to make sure I get these eggs laid, and this bed is protected, and nobody comes over here and gets my eggs because I want this fry to live. Imagine if we did that as humans, right? That's all they care about for a week. They don't eat, they don't care about anything. So when that process is over, she's hungry, but she needs to recover She's tired, she's beat up, that male's been hitting her on the side, she might be marked up, she's been trying to protect it from the brim and the cracker that's trying to eat the eggs, she's tired. She needs somewhere to recover, so what does she use? Where do I have some shade? And where is somewhere that's close that I might have something to eat? Close, all right? So, now, let's go back. Let's make this practical, let's make the rubber hit the road. Let's just think about the lakes that we have right here. I know I got people from all over the country. The guy said Wisconsin, I heard LA. Hell, I ain't even been, y'all been fishing places I ain't even been yet. I'm bringing it right here home in South Carolina. What do I have? And that's gonna be those floating docks, number one. Best place in the world. Do you wanna know where fish goes for post spawn? A lot of times, they just linger around the shallows. Now, when they linger around the shallows, that can usually work best when the water's high. Why is that? Because that's when we got the most cover. You might have some bushes in the water. We got that dog fennel. Y'all know, you're familiar with dog fennel? The grass that we have that grows up, they'll hide in that and just recover. Just get some sunshine. They'll just sit there, get that. They'll just kind of cruise around, eat a brim or two, get a little bit of energy, get a little bit of weight on her, and then she'll move out and then start chasing herring for the rest of the summer. Whatever with that, you know. But they're gonna use something where they got shade, they can get next to it. That'll help you pick out your baits. That'll help you know where they can fish. You can think of somewhere right now where if you were fishing, you wanted to recover from a long, didn't eat for 5 days, didn't eat for a week. You can think of some places that they could go and just recover, just chill for a minute. I'm very particular about vertical structure. I truly believe in fish spawning beside something. All right, so pause, go back just a little bit, Michael, just a touch. All right, yeah, that's good. That's, well, definitely not that. So, okay, that's mine right there. So, one thing that's very important about this area, this is Okeechobee. It was the area I fished in 21 for that tournament. It didn't get one out of this area, but I think it was 6 of the top 10 was out of this area, and I was not one of the 6. So that sucked. I like spawn beside something. I like vertical structure. When you go to Okeechobee, I know if you're from this area, none of this relates at all, but some people may have somewhere that fishes like this. The reason this area was good is 2 things. I got these are the flat reeds that we got here, buggy whips, and these are round reeds back here. You got several different types of structure there. And then under the water, there's a different type there's a different grass on there. They call it wire grass. I don't know what it is. It doesn't really matter. It's just this. You remember what I just said? You need cover for the fry the hide. What they do at Okeechobee, there's grass under the water that you can't see, the wire grass. It just grows up in little stalks right at the surface. It'll come right to the surface. That's where the fish are going to fry. They're going to use that as protection. They'll make beds around any of these little clumps or vertical structure, which is just flat reeds. I don't like these as much. You see how this just grows as a wall? Not so much. But you see how it's wall, and then, there's a clump, there's a clump, there's a clump, there's a clump. That's where those fish were spawning. And so all I was doing, I was going through there and just flipping my Stenko. Mr. Cinco! I was Mr. Cinco that day, Bobby. I was Mr. Cinco, 16th ounce sinker. Not 16th, but an 8th ounce sinker on a 6-inch Cinco with a 4 or 5-aught hook. Let's go. And I was flipped to these isolated reeds. Throw it up there, first thing I would do is nothing. I'll say it again. I'll flip it up there, and the first thing I would do is nothing. Let it set. Flip it over there. If I smoked cigarettes, I would smoke a cigarette at that point, but I don't. Let it set for a few seconds, because if you ever sight fish, when you flip into bed, the first thing a fish does when you flip into a bed is like go away. First thing he does is he go back and what the heck was that? And he'll just stand back for a minute and then kind of look. If he was a dog, his ears would perk up, you know. He was like, brr. And then they'll just kind of make a long way around. They'll kind of come back, and then they'll look at it. So it's very important I know it's probably weird to be talking about the spawn in January, but where we live, but you need to think about these things. I'll flip it up there and I'll let it set. For context for South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, this could be dock pilings. We're gonna get, I got a clip of that, just wait. Just hold on, just work with me. But all of these areas, these clumps, isolated is giving me some feedback as well. Where that grass is thick back here, that probably means that soil is soft and mushy. They don't like that to spawn. What does the grass do in your yard where it's rocky? Grows in clumps. So what do you think about this? All this is sandy. And like it just had, like you could see the bottom, there was red spots, sandy spots. All this where the reeds are all broken up and not growing that good. We look at that as fishermen, it's like, ooh. And then where it's thick like that, it's like, I don't know what to do with that. It's too much. Well, it's the same thing. Just remember that if you're fishing somewhere where it's grass, anywhere it's blotchy like this, it's giving you feedback about the bottom because I cannot see the bottom that great. I can see it okay. If it gets calm, I can see it. You can see the sandy spots and so forth. That grass is giving you feedback on what kind of bottom composition you got. It's soft over here. It's probably mushy back along this wall over here. Out here in the middle, in certain spots, you can let it play here, Michael. It's funky, and that's what we want is funky. That's where the fish are gonna spawn at. All those little clumps and so forth is what I'm fishing. See how I let that bait set? Now, did you see that? Rewind that again. That was exactly what I was talking about. Okay. Remember what I said? First thing I do when I flip in there is nothing. I was smoking a cigarette right there. That was a pack of Pall Malls. Look, he got it. He going yonder way with it. He going yonder way with it. And it don't take nothing but this and this. That's all it takes. Now that ain't much. That's not a Bobby Barrack fish, but it's all right. Just pretend. All these little clumps, potential places where they're going to spawn. And remember that wiregrass underneath the water? That's what the fish are going to use for their fry to hide. Just to give you a visual representation, if you happen to have anywhere where there's a grass fishery. There's I don't remember what, is that the first day I caught that big one? See, I missed that one there, spawn. You see all those clumps? See all that? That's giving us feedback. Clumps. Clumps. All clumps. See the wiregrass? That's what I want you to see. The wiregrass there. That's that big one. That's that big one. Yeah, we'll look at this and then we'll go into the next thing. We'll start talking about dogs. Yeah, that was a big one. That was a freak.
Yes, sir.
Lord, that was a big one. Oh yeah. Them are haymakers. And we can go into the next video. If there's one thing I've learned tournament fishing, traveling, is that it's all the same. This is the exact same thing that you saw in South Florida and Pickwick, Tennessee. Just the vertical structure is now wood that a man put in the ground. The fish are still spawning beside that in the shallowest thing you can get. The shallowest vertical structure that you can find on a body of water if a bass will spawn by it. I don't care if it's a stick, if it's a lay down, I don't care what the shallowest piece of vertical structure a fish will spawn by. Now why, Brian, you keep talking about the spawn in January, it's cold outside, the fish are, bro, because why I'm telling you that is because by the time you get home and you do your honey-do list, the spawn is here. It's January, but the spawn, it's now. It's now. Things are getting in line now. You need to be thinking about places that look like this. It's in 2 foot, 8 inches, 10 inches. We always say it's 6 inches, but 6 inches is like it's not really 6 inches. When we say 6 inches, what we're really talking about is knee deep. And knee deep is not 6 inches unless it's not knee deep, okay? Areas like this, watch this. I'm gonna flip every single one of those pilings. It's a catwalk that goes to the bank. Because look, I get excited thinking about this. The catwalk is connected to the bank, okay? So they spawn here. Now where do you think that freak goes when he finished spawning? He goes out here. He goes out here to the edge and get some shade. All of that. It's probably a pontoon under there. You got brim that's gonna spawn under there. It's shade, it's deep water, it's protected, he feels good. So you got a whole thing going on. What do you think he does when he comes in to pre-spawn now, which you're about to fish in the next 3 fishing trips that you have, 4 fishing trips? What do you think they set up to spawn at? At the front of the dock. And what does he do? The water temperature warms up. I'm gonna go back here and have some cigs. Back here on the dock parts. You see why it's so important to talk about the spawn? I don't care what time. If we were in July, I'd still be talking about the spawn. They just spawn here on the dock, and then there's a hump out here in front of them, way out here, and that's where the fish go. If you understand the spawn, you understand bass fishing. It's very important to get it. This is literally the exact same thing I was showing you at Okeechobee. It seems different and it's very intimidating. I wish I had somebody to tell me this and show me this when I first started fishing away from home, because it was overwhelming. You would go to Okeechobee and it's just grass forever. Everywhere you go, it's grass, 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 grass. It was the same stuff I'd been doing when I was fishing Lake Greenwood. You just got to look for isolated places where they can spawn and they can travel. They'll use that catwalk. It's just like a highway. I'll come in here. They'll set up and suspend under the pontoons, under the floating parts, under the pylons. They'll suspend out here. Days get longer. Water temperature rises. They just kind of slide back. They'll spawn, make cigs. They'll make their babies. And guess what happens? Female goes back to the floating part. The fry hatches here. It has a place to hide with the dock pylons, the shade, you got structure. Then the fry even goes back. They always go to a corner. I have no idea why, but they go to a corner right where the shade is. If you want to catch fry garters in the spring, for us it's going to be like a May period, late April, May. They're going to be on the shady side of the dock and they move with the sun. If this is shady side in the morning, they're going to be here. If this is shady side in the evening, they go there. You can count on that. Everything else I tell you today was a lie. You can count on that one. They're going to be there, okay? I don't care what you flip. Just make sure it's short and it's compact. What did I do? First thing I did? Nothing. Look at all this. See all that? I said, come on. He came on, too. Flipped it to there. Watch this bite. Dude, my buddy, dude. Look at that. It's not a big one, though. It don't matter. Hey, but it wasn't my 18. That looked like a small fish, but one of my 18 people did better than me because I think I finished 19th in that tournament. Another distinguishing factor. I don't know what this is about. Can't prove it. You see his eyes is red. Their eyes always turn red when they're spawning. So if you fish somewhere where the water's too dark for you to actually visually see a fish, look at that tail. Yeah. Well, Bobby was talking about that, red tail. That'll let you know that the fish is spawning. When you see red eyes, the male's eyes always turn red during the spawn. Once you start to apply the principle, once you understand the fish, you understand where he spawns and what he needs to live, now 56,000 acres ain't that big. Why do you think you find in pros, it's 100 boats, 60,000 acres. Why do you think we always all end up fishing on top of each other every time? Somebody's fighting over area. Because a bass is a bass and we're all applying the same principles to be able to catch a fish. People say that all the time, why don't you go find another spot? Well, Gerald, first of all, I found these fish too. And we're just gonna have to fish this pocket together. It spits tobacco out. But I shouldn't have said Gerald. I should have used another name. that I was not talking about Gerald. Okay, the Gerald that we all know. I was just saying Gerald. Okay, that was just a name. So don't y'all go. I heard B.Lat said y'all got into it at Lake Hartwell. No. It was a joke. We got that on tape. That was a joke. I do not have beef with Gerald Swindle. Okay. We're very good friends,
It's
by the
already
way.
on Twitter.
I know, right? Somebody's already put it up.
That whole keeper.
We do not have beef. We're very cool. I was just saying that name, okay? All right. All right, so I'm on the south end where there's nothing but clear water. I use the principles that I already know about fish, like in flat pockets. I already know that they live beside things, bushes, vertical structure. That could be anything. It could be dock pollards. It could be anything that I can get to stand up beside. Just anything. It could be a blade of grass, dog fennel. I'm not sure if we call that grass or we call that bushes. Well, it's somewhere in between the two. Fish spawning. So that will allow you, especially high school, college fishermen, and your 300 boat tournaments, you gotta, when it's 150 boat, when it's 100 boats plus, fishing is not fishing, it's different. It's a different dynamic. When you go out in your club tournament, 20, 25 boats, you can go for the low-hanging fruit. When you have official practice, 150 plus boats, it is a totally different strategy of catching fish. Because all the easy stuff that you can see and all the stuff that makes common sense has been hit all day long for 36 hours. So now you got to start thinking. You got to start thinking ahead. If you're fishing up the river where all this stuff is abundant and everybody's hitting the juice, this is where watching your competition makes a difference in your tournaments. You got to watch what everybody else is fishing too. Because if you're catching them on a row of docks and you're noticing that they're on the first 2 docks going in every pocket on the main lake. The main lake pockets, first 2 docks. And then you go to the next one, there's a boat there. And you go to the next one, there's another boat there. You got to pay attention to that because by the time the tournament gets there, them fish that's on them first 2 docks going into main lake pockets are educated. They are Harvard smart. And they're probably not going to bite your stuff because now they're just so educated. So now you got to take that information that you learned and you got to look somewhere where that's maybe not as good, but it ain't got to be that good. So many tournaments I've fished on one bank from here to my brother standing up in the back. So many tournaments. I've made checks, $10,000 checks, $15,000 checks on 20 yards for 2-3 days because you got to start thinking outside the box. So in this case, that BFL was a pretty big tournament. A lot of guys were fishing the herring spawn in that tournament. Probably should have, but I got checking this one. I had to go where you probably shouldn't go. Everything that I told you would have said go to the more stained water up the lake in the creeks to catch largemouth. I went down and I found what I would find up the lake. I found it down the lake. Let's hit play. You can see it. It's just gonna catch one off the bed here.